questions. So I think this works really well. Today's webinar topic is the NYSERDA Clean Heating and Cooling Program, and our presenters are Rachel Carpitella and Bonnie Hagen, who I'm sure most of you know. So Rachel is representing the Westchester County campaign, and Bonnie is representing the Putnam County campaign. So they will further introduce themselves and explain their roles in this great effort. So Rachel and Bonnie will answer your questions at the end of the presentation, and it'd be great if you could type your questions into the questions box, and we will get to them at the end. So everyone will be muted during the presentation, and then afterwards we'll have an interactive conversation. So take it away, Rachel and Bonnie.
Thank you so much, Danny and the Green Business Partnership, for having us today. Many of you know me as a member of the Green Business Partnership. I'm the Director of Business Development, and I also consult with Sustainable Westchester as the project manager for the Clean Heating and Cooling campaign for commercial clients.
And I'm Bonnie Hagen, and many of you know me as the Chief Operating Officer at Bright Energy Services. We do energy efficiency for commercial buildings, and we are on the team that is helping WestCOP bring this clean heating and cooling communities program into Putnam County.
And with support from NYSERDA, we are proud to present to you the Clean Heating and Cooling Solutions presentation for buildings that won't burn any fuel or emit on-site greenhouse gas emissions. You will leave this webinar with the tools and resources to bring heat pumps to your building or your client's building, new or existing. Following the webinar, we will send this presentation to all attendees, so you will have all of the information from these very information-rich slides. Sustainable Westchester is a collaboration of Westchester County, New York, local governments that empowers municipal leaders, concerned citizens, businesses, and local organizations to partner in the development of sustainability initiatives and share tools, resources, and incentives for healthy, vibrant, and attractive communities now and in the future. Our 5 focus areas are energy, with programs including Westchester Power CCA, Solarize Westchester, and Community Solar. Transportation and land use, which includes clean transportation, electric vehicles and charging stations, waste management and materials, food, and water.
WestCOP has been working in the Hudson for more than 50 years to combat poverty through multiple community programs, including energy efficiency and weatherization efforts. WestCOP has contracted with NYSERDA to bring clean heating and cooling technology to Putnam County and leads the team in its outreach efforts. The team consists of 4 other organizations. As I mentioned before, Bright Energy Services, which is my company, is one of them, and we focus on energy engineering and construction services for commercial buildings. Atlantic Westchester is also on the team and is a commercial HVAC company and provides maintenance programs, remediation services, intelligent building automation control systems, and energy efficiency projects. The Hudson Valley Regional Council is also on the team and is a trusted organization in the Mid-Hudson region and is known for its impartial guidance to and respectful engagement with municipalities and counties, as well as its sound clean energy and energy efficiency knowledge base. And Internet Presence, who is also on the team, is our designated web, social media, and online and offline marketing and communications partner. Together, we form the team that will be bringing clean heating and cooling into Putnam County, and I am serving as the campaign director. Now, just to mention, there are currently 15 teams throughout New York State that are tasked by NYSERDA to bring clean heating and cooling technology to their respective regions. So I'm doing this in Putnam. Rachel is representing Westchester County, as Denny had mentioned earlier. And if there's anyone on the call that is not from either one of these counties and this information is of interest to you, please let us know afterwards, and we will connect you to the team that is bringing this technology to your region. Okay, so clean heating and cooling is coming to New York State. NYSERDA and the utilities are coming to the rescue with millions of dollars of funding. Why do I say rescue? Well, heating and cooling in buildings is one of the largest contributors to New York's energy-related greenhouse gas emissions. Demand for cooling will grow as our climate continues to warm. Currently, fossil fuel-based energy, primarily natural gas, propane, and oil, is the main energy source for space heating and domestic hot water in residential and commercial buildings in New York State. In support of New York State's nation-leading greenhouse gas emissions reduction goals, which are targeting a 40% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and a very aggressive 80% by 2050, NYSERDA has developed an integrated long-term policy approach to addressing emissions from the heating and cooling sector, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. Clean heating and cooling technologies such as cold climate air source heat pumps, ground source heat pumps, which some people call geothermal, and solar hot water have the potential to contribute significantly to decarbonization of the heating and cooling sector. They can also offer a number of other benefits to those using these technologies. For instance, energy bill savings and increased comfort levels and health benefits compared to conventional heating and cooling technologies. We've already seen the cost of installing geothermal systems come down more than 25% over the past year, and this is mainly due to new business model innovations such as these and standardization of installation and pricing.
In order to transform the HVAC market and spur beneficial electrification, NYSERDA has increased its support and scope of clean heating and cooling efforts in Westchester, Putnam, and throughout the entire state to the tune of $250 million, including a community-level initiative designed to facilitate adoption of fossil-free heating and cooling solutions such as ground source and air source heat pumps, as well as high-efficiency building envelope measures. This clean heating and cooling work is not only essential to our environment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and reach New York State's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act goals, but to our economy. Right now, there are 35,592 units of proposed multifamily new construction in Westchester, equating to over $10 billion of total economic development impact, which would traditionally heat with natural gas and cool with a cooling tower and chiller. NYSERDA and the utilities are supporting the transition to fossil-free heat pumps to heat and cool as a new standard in constructing and retrofitting 21st century buildings.
So ground source heat pump systems transfer thermal energy to the ground and the building to heat and cool it without any harmful emissions or any additional fuel. The benefits of ground source heat pumps, and like I said before, some people call it geothermal. The benefits are significant. They can lower the energy bills. They can make them fluctuate less, which can be important for service-oriented institutions that need to budget, like not-profits, schools, community centers, and houses of worship. Less fluctuation in energy bills is easier to budget for and will also help residential customers with fixed income or people with low to moderate income. This technology leads to greater resiliency and reliability during disruptions to grid-connected heating and cooling sources. Using this technology leads to more comfort and health because of added air conditioning and improved indoor air quality delivered by this emissions-free technology. Ground source heat pumps is a good long-term solution to heating and cooling needs.
Here we have a drawing of a conventional gas heating system. So you're probably familiar with the components that you see on the screen. You have a cooling tower, a makeup air unit, heat pumps, and a boiler. With a geothermal system, you no longer need a cooling tower or a boiler. You still use the same traditional components of pipes and heat pumps. But with geothermal, you have your geothermal loop field, which is underneath the building or next to the building. And that loop field can last well over 50 years compared to cooling tower, which lasts much less than that. But the pipes and the heat pumps are still the same. They just become ground source heat pumps instead of the conventional heat pumps. And this frees up valuable rooftop space, which can be used for a community area, whether it's green space or a basketball court. And it also could be used for additional units, whether it's housing or commercial space. And all of that heating and cooling goes below or next to the building in the ground.
Through the Ground Source Heat Pump Rebate Initiative, NYSERDA is making $26.5 million available for the installation of this cutting-edge renewable energy technology. About $15.1 million has already been set aside for current projects, and so there's still about $11.4 million remaining in the budget for future projects. This initiative will provide funding only to eligible ground source heat pump designers and installers who are approved by NYSERDA. So if you would like to install these ground source heat pumps on your property, NYSERDA encourages you to look for an approved designer or installer to participate, because funding is not available directly to the building owners or site owners. The designer or installer should be passing the rebate through to the customers. As you can see here, the rebates throughout New York State are pretty generous, whether it's a small installation or a large installation. And eligible applicants who are affected by utility company natural gas moratorium can take advantage of even higher rebates and rebate caps through the Clean Energy Action Plan, up to $5 million per project. This includes Con Ed customers in southern Westchester and NYSEG customers in Lansing, New York, that are currently paying into the system's benefit charge. So in a minute, Rachel's going to bring you through a few case studies to show you the metrics associated with the energy savings and the financial savings, and she'll also talk about the various ground source heat pump manufacturers out there.
Thanks, Bonnie. The case studies that I'm about to show you for geothermal were completed by Buffalo Geothermal Heating, and Matrix New World is partnered with Buffalo Geothermal Heating, offering complete geothermal design and build services to Westchester, focusing on multifamily and commercial development. So I just want for everyone to know that Buffalo Geothermal Heating and Cooling is the company that completed these projects. So here we have Peace Arrow Building in Buffalo. It was a symbol of a luxury car company that went away in the Great Depression. The geothermal system cost about $1 million and heats and cools the more than $34 million conversion into 107 apartment units, a restaurant, and some office space. From Buffalo Geothermal, I have a quote here who said, "It's green energy, it's free energy. Why wouldn't you take advantage of something that's beneath your feet to heat and cool a building? It's absolutely free energy. Once a system is installed, the payback period is a very short period of time, and for the life of the system, your reduced energy costs are up to 70%. And we see here that the NYSERDA rebate was $398,000. So on $1 million system, that's about 40%. Then they were able to take advantage of other federal tax incentives and rebates, which I will talk about a little bit later. They drilled 50 wells that were 350 feet deep, and that was completed in the winter of 2019. So that was a retrofit. And then we have a new construction case study. This is called Autumn Garden Complex in Lockport. The Lockport Housing Authority won the New York Geothermal Organization's GeoStar Top Job competition in 2017 for converting all 72 apartments in its Autumn Gardens housing complex to geothermal energy. It's the third public housing project in New York State to acquire this type of heating system. Executive Director of the Lockport Housing Authority estimates a reduction in total energy consumption of 40% from the project over the previous electric heating system. Plus, it has also provided affordable air conditioning in the summer, saving residents charges for renting window units for their apartments. The Lockport Housing Authority is expecting to save 50% to 75% of the cost of electricity with the new system, which could be $40,000 to $50,000 per year. The authority also converted its office building to geothermal the year before the housing complex. You can see some of the stats on the slide. $92,000 NYSERDA rebate completed in 2017. This is the Siena Building. In 2014, the Siena brothers purchased property which sat vacant for 15 years, located at 363 Grant Street in Buffalo, and transformed it into a 12,600 square foot mixed-use building. Although building plans were approved prior to the adoption of Buffalo's Green Code, the Sienas decided to alter their plans to comply with the code. The Siena Building was a $2.3 million project structured to contain both retail space and residential apartments, and is heated and cooled entirely by geothermal technology. By utilizing available rebates and the 10% tax credit, that's that federal tax credit, the overall cost of installing the ground source heat pump was several $1,000s less than a conventional system, dispelling the notion that these systems always have much higher upfront costs over their traditional counterparts. In total, rebates and tax credits covered nearly 30% of the overall system cost. With the savings achieved, this project has a payback period of 0. Additionally, the infrastructure expenses were also much lower since ground source heat pump systems do not require gas lines, cooling towers, furnace exhausts, etc. The building owners will continue to see significant annual savings in their operating and maintenance costs for both the heating, cooling, and hot water systems. This is the Zero Place in New Paltz. Developer David Shepler, who was inspired by his own net zero home just a few blocks away, to try to use the village's neighborhood business residential zone as a place to expand on those principles, admitting there were times he thought the project would never be approved. On the morning of December 19th, 2019, his excitement was palpable as they began construction, and he described the 15 geothermal wells and 260 kilowatts of solar power, which will ensure that the residents of the 46 apartments don't use more energy than is created on site. Shepler recalled thinking, if I can live this way, imagine if we can scale it. The neighborhood business residential zone had the right rules, he believed, and the lots became available after a terrible fire in late 2014. The state granted $750,000 to this planned 46-unit apartment building in New Paltz through the Buildings of Excellence contest among proposals for multifamily housing that used solar panel, geothermal heating, and other techniques to produce little or no carbon emissions. We're going to take a look at some of the cost savings, New York State and federal incentives. So NYSERDA has their ground source heat pump rebate program, which is increased in areas impacted by a gas moratorium or in gas-constrained areas. And that is $1,500 per ton of cooling capacity, up to $5 million per project. The federal government energy tax credit provides a 10% tax credit, and all commercial geothermal system related expenses broadly defined, such as heat pumps, hot water plumbing, general contractor expenses, etc., are included under that tax credit. The federal government offers a 1 to 5 year accelerated depreciation, and for all costs associated with geothermal installations, provides tax savings of 25% on corporate income in the first year after construction is completed, or it can be spread out over 5 years. Here's a look at the cost savings on an annual operating basis of gas versus geothermal.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, so we just spent some time speaking about ground source heat pumps. We also have air source heat pumps. So air source heat pumps technology can also provide an energy efficient heating and cooling option. Air source heat pumps can deliver 1.5 to 3 times more heat energy to a building than the electrical energy it consumes. This is possible because a heat pump moves heat around rather than converting it from a fuel like combustion heating systems do. Air source heat pumps have been used for many years in nearly all parts of the United States, but until recently they have not been used in areas that experience extended periods of sub-freezing temperatures. However, in recent years, air source heat pump technology has advanced so that now it's a strong alternative to conventional heating in colder regions like in New York State. Like geothermal, the benefits of air source heat pumps are many. Because the heating is not produced through fossil fuels, this system is eco-friendly as well as cost-saving. If you want to convert your building to air source heat pumps, the installation cost will depend on the type of heat pump system, for instance, central versus ductless, how many rooms you need to heat or cool, and the size of your area or areas being conditioned. Air source heat pumps use less electricity during the summer compared to traditional air conditioning options. In the winter, air source heat pumps sometimes use more electricity than traditional technology. However, this usage is not occurring during peak demand time, so the usage costs are lower. Generally, the operating cost of air source heat pumps is lower than traditional climate systems running on gas, oil, or other common fuels, making air source heat pumps a smart financial decision for many building owners. Maintenance costs for air source heat pumps are generally low. They're reliable, they work automatically, and have a long life. Their high efficiency also comes with environmental benefits, especially if you power them with solar electricity, and will become more environmentally sound as we green the grid. Okay, NYSERDA's air source heat pump program is working with air source heat pump installers to expand New Yorkers' access to clean, renewable heating and cooling technology. NYSERDA has set aside close to $13 million in incentives to participating installers for the installation of program-qualified air source heat pump systems. About $11.2 million has already been set aside for current or past projects, and so there's still about $1.7 million remaining for new projects. As you can see here, the states are also generous, and eligible applicants affected by a utility company natural gas moratorium can take advantage of even higher rebates through the Clean Energy Action Plan. This includes Con Ed customers in southern Westchester and NYSERDA customers in Lansing, New York, like I mentioned before, who also currently pay into the system's benefits charge. Additionally, there are also incentives to control packages and dual fuel thermostats to ensure efficient operation during the heating system. And once again, Rachel is going to take you through some case studies for air source heat pumps and bring you through the financial and energy related benefits, and also talk about some air source heat pump manufacturers.
Here we have a picture of the Ollie building at Carmel Place. This is in Midtown Manhattan. So a small footprint. So they did their drilling directly underneath the building. The new construction was completed in 2016. It offers 55 loft-like units ranging from 260 to 360 square feet. So they're like micro apartment studios. There's an innovative modular construction. There are there are different types of unit types in this building. 60,000 applicants for 14 affordable housing units. So there were 14 affordable housing units. They had 60,000 applicants for that. There were 8 units for homeless veterans, and there were 33 market rate units, the rent at which is approximately $2,850 a month. As you can see on the slide where it says the results on this bill, they had a 21% reduction in energy costs, 8 lead points, and their summer peak demand was reduced, and their winter peak demand is listed right there. Here are some photos of the interior of the floor plan at Carmel Place. You can see in the top left-hand corner of the photo on the left, there is the unit for the air source heat pump. So that's where their cooling and heating comes out of, the top left of that picture. And you can see the outdoor space that's included with this building. This is a brownstone in New York City. And this was an interesting project for this air source heat pump manufacturer to try to bring their system into, because electrifying a New York City brownstone comes with some questions. And they were able to figure out their projected outcomes. So this project has not happened yet. This is slated to happen. But I wanted to share with you some of their numbers because it's very interesting to see the cost savings and then the other benefits that are included with air source heat pumps, which include having air conditioning in a building that didn't have air conditioning and being able to have full windows in the summer, having reduced noise pollution and increased comfort and controllability, all while having a reduced greenhouse gas emission. This building currently has a oil-fired steam boiler, so they'll no longer have that on-site combustion when they bring in air source heat pumps. It's a 10-unit housing development fund corporation co-op, a typical pre-war walk-up apartment building, and it has tankless hot water coils for domestic hot water, and the boiler is nearing the end of life, but it's still functional. So by bringing in the air source heat pump system at a time when the boiler is nearing the end of life, it helps with the return on investment. And it's 64% greenhouse gas emission reduction with today's grid and 90% greenhouse gas reduction by 2040. So that's going back to the idea of beneficial electrification as we put in electrical systems instead of on-site combustion systems today. As the grid gets greener, our buildings will become less greenhouse gas intensive. Now there are a few slides coming up that are all going to be very information rich and text heavy. So we wanted to put this information into the presentation for you as a resource following this discussion. So there are incentives and information on existing buildings. I want to point out the Flex Tech program, which offers a 50% cost share for a NYSERDA approved consultant to come to your building and identify opportunities to increase building performance through energy efficiency and renewable energy. And then there's the real-time energy management program. And coming soon, we're going to have the clean heating and cooling screening for large buildings, which already exists in New York City. There's a New York City screening tool. So NYSERDA is launching this tool statewide where you'll be able to put in your building address, whether it's a building you currently own or a building you're thinking about owning or working on. You can put the address into the screening tool and it will tell you the feasibility for the potential electrification of that building. So we will look forward to sharing that tool with you when it's available. And here are some additional resources, funding opportunities, financial support, multifamily new construction, as well as the competitive awards. So some of these programs are competitive, others are on a rolling basis. Many of them you can stack together. And Bonnie and I are here to help you navigate which ones you would be the best fit for and help you make your buildings as energy efficient as possible. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.